Hello, welcome to Michelle Loses It. I'm Michelle. Today we're going to continue on my Calibrate journey, and I have my sixth Friday check-in on Saturday since I started the journey. So if that sounds interesting to you, then please stay tuned. Okay, so my usual format is I'm going to talk about what my current goal is, how I've been progressing with that, and then this week I actually have a coach check-in, so I'll talk a little bit about that and what my new goals are for the next 2 weeks. So my current goal, if you recall, was to begin following the food triangle and to start tracking my red foods. So I've gone over the food triangle with you before. Like I said before, I'm not going to share the details within each food color because this is a paid program and I don't think it would be fair to the people that are paying. But in general, I don't think that there's nothing mind-blowing in these food groups. I don't think anybody who has tried to lose weight in the past, if you're new to weight loss, or a weight loss journey, then it might surprise you. But if you've been trying different programs over the years, then I don't think that anything in these food groups is going to really be surprising. So it's not anything earth-shattering. It's just a helpful reminder. So as I mentioned before, I'll show the little icon graph up here. The green foods have no limits. You can have as many of those with your regular meals and snacks as you want. The yellow foods, they want you to hold that to 2 servings per day. Per bulleted category. So there's several bullets. So you can have each of the bullets up to 2 times a day. So that's not too bad. The yellow foods, they want you to have up to 1 serving per day of each of the bulleted foods. So they have food groups as a bullet. The orange foods are up to 2 servings per week per bulleted food. The red foods are as few as possible. So really they prefer you not to have them, but they're not saying that they're off limits. So that was my main goal this week. And that was layered on top of my previous goals, which were to drink 120 ounces of water per day and to weigh myself every day. So how did I do with those goals? So last week I traveled. I was gone the whole week. I left Sunday afternoon and I didn't get home until Friday afternoon, which is why I'm filming this on Saturday. So I was out of town. I was staying in a hotel. And so it was a little bit more difficult to follow the program, but I did make some changes over how I would have behaved in the past, which is what this journey is all about for me. So I actually traveled for work. My boss also traveled, and we ended up getting into town where our corporate office is at around the same time Sunday afternoon. So and we were staying at the same hotel. So my boss had a rental car, and she is also trying to do a little bit better in her eating habits. So we decided to go to the grocery store before we even checked into the hotel. And what I ended up doing was buying groceries so that I could pack my lunch for the office every day, because although the office does have a cafeteria, because the office is not 100% open and it's not full, they've actually closed the cafeteria down. So what I decided to do was buy stuff to make my favorite salad. And I will tell you what's in my favorite salad. So I don't think I've mentioned this before, but I've only lived in South Florida for a little over a year. And before that, I lived in Pennsylvania. And near my house in Pennsylvania was this little pizza restaurant that had a salad they called the Olympia Special Salad. And it was the most delicious grilled chicken chopped up with cucumbers, bell peppers, tomatoes, onions. I usually skip the onions. Kalamata olives, and a couple of big chunks of feta cheese, and an olive oil vinegar kind of dressing drizzled over it. So my favorite kind of salad doesn't have any lettuce in it. And I love that salad. It had big, huge chunks of really flavorful grilled chicken with all those vegetables. And it came with 2 big like chunks of feta cheese. And I usually only ate one of them. But the mixture of that feta with the Kalamata olives and the tomatoes and the cucumbers and the chicken, oh, it's so good. And it's such an easy salad to make on your own. So I bought 2 containers of shredded rotisserie chicken. I bought all the other ingredients for the salad, and I mixed it up every night. I bought a little plastic container that I could mix it up in and carry it to work. So that was a win. I packed my lunch almost every day. There was one day where I actually ordered with everybody else, and I ordered a power bowl, which had ancient grains. I'm not quite sure what that means. It had grilled chicken, it had hummus, it had tomatoes, it had all that healthy stuff. It had some sweet potatoes in it, and it had some kind of a really spicy, creamy kind of dressing. And I'm not sure what else was in it, but it was so good. So yeah, I had really healthy lunches all week. We would stop at First Watch on our way into the office every month to have every morning to have breakfast. And I would First Watch has some really healthy options. So I was getting either omelets with spinach and tomatoes. I skipped the potatoes, and I would get a bowl of fruit. I did have a cup of coffee every morning. So with the coffee, I had sugar in my coffee, and this probably won't be a spoiler alert, but sugar is a red food. So I had coffee every morning, but I only drank half of the cup. So while I tracked my sugar, and I didn't feel bad about drinking it because it was just a nice way to get my day started. I was having a healthy breakfast, so I still felt good about that. So yeah, I had some version of eggs with spinach and tomatoes, maybe some turkey, different mixtures like that, with a fruit cup and my cup of coffee for breakfast every morning. At nighttime, we went out to dinner every night, and I got either a salad or a grilled chicken entree. There was one night where we went to a restaurant that is known for their cheeseburgers, and if you've already been following me, then I probably have mentioned that when I am trying to eat healthier and I'm restricting what I'm eating, cakes and ice cream are not what I crave. That's not something that if I'm not having it, I feel deprived. I want a cheeseburger. If I'm gonna go off target, then I'm getting a cheeseburger. So this place was known for their burgers, so I got a cheeseburger. And I don't feel guilty about it because I hadn't had one in a while. And I only ate half of it. So I got enough of it that it satisfied that need to have a cheeseburger, and I didn't go crazy with it. I wasn't stuffed, I didn't finish it, and I felt good about that. So I feel like I did really well for the week, even though I was traveling. In the past, I would use traveling as an excuse just to really go like off track for every meal. And I didn't do that this time. And so I feel like that was a major win for me. I also, because our office building is humongous, it's actually 3 buildings connected by walkways. And I had meetings with executives. I was in this building, I was in that building. I was going back and forth to conference rooms. I had over 8,000 steps every day of the week. And for comparison, because I know for a lot of people that's not going to be a lot, but in comparison to my usual daily average of like 1,300 to 1,500 steps, 8,000 was a win. And I actually had 2 days with 10,000 steps. So I feel really good about how much walking I got in for the week. And I mean, I don't think I've ever had a travel work trip that was that successful for me personally. So yay for me. Okay, let's see. So like I said, overall, it wasn't 100% on target, mostly because of the sugar, and then, and actually the cheeseburger wasn't even off target because I tracked it, and it fell within the guidelines of the triangle. So actually, now that I think about it, The only thing, and I didn't even go off target with my coffee because I did track it, and it's not a food that I'm not allowed to have. So actually I did stick to my program 100%. It's so interesting how like we have all these like preconceived notions about what is off limits for us when actually nothing is off limits as long as you do it in moderation. So yeah, I've got to work on that mindset. Okay, so I did have one big win for me. There was one night where after we had been out and we were out kind of late, I got back to the hotel and I really wanted a bag of chips. And I was like, I'm making too much progress. I'm not gonna do it. So I just went to bed. It was the easiest solution for me to stop that craving. And it was like 9:30 at night, so it wasn't like it was early in the day. I just went to bed and I had a really good night's sleep and I got over the food craving for the chips. So another good win. All right, so then I usually have my bi-weekly coaching sessions every other Friday, which would have been yesterday. However, I was going to be flying home during the scheduled time for my session. So I rescheduled it for Thursday afternoon during a break between meetings. They're only 15 minutes, so it's not like I was using up, company time. It was a quick 15-minute call. We got updated on what my progress was, and then we talked a little bit about the weekly lesson, which was on sleep habits. So the Sunday before my coaching session, I get an alert on the app that my new lesson is available for me to read. And there's usually 3 parts to the lesson, and it's always the same theme, but it's just like each article is building on the previous one. So this week's lesson was on sleep habits and how important sleep is, not only for your general health, but for weight health in particular. During the night, your body is recovering, your bodily functions and all that are just going through this recovery mode. It's super important. And it also, it boosts immunity and reduces inflammation, which for me is a big deal because my joints get really inflamed by the end of the day. And one of the things that I was reading was about how all of these recovery and function recovery things really help reduce cortisol. And if you don't get in a REM cycle, then the cortisol in particular doesn't get balanced. And if you've read anything about cortisol, you know that it's one of the leading factors to mid-stomach weight gain, which is where I carry the majority of my weight. So the thing about sleeping for me, I rarely ever have trouble falling asleep. I usually sleep a pretty decent night. However, since I went through menopause several years ago, I get up several times a night to go to the restroom. This started long before I ever started drinking 120 ounces of water a day. And now that I'm drinking all that water, the number of times I get up during the night is increased. So one of the things that my coach and I talked about was for me to try and compress the amount of time it takes me to get the 120 ounces in, because I was drinking my 24 ounces every 3 hours starting at 6 a.m., which meant that I filled my last tumbler up at 6 p.m. and it took me till 9 p.m. to finish it. So that's how long it takes me to get my 120 ounces in. So starting this week, I need to redo the math and figure out how often I need to drink my 24 ounces at a time to get all 5 mugs in by 6 o'clock. I have to be finished by 6. And we're hoping that will help reduce the number of times that I get up during the night. I don't feel that it will stop the number of times I get up because, like I said, I was getting up long before I was drinking this amount of liquid. I wasn't drinking 120 ounces of other types of liquid, and I just switched to water. I wasn't getting that much liquid in at all, and I was still having to get up to go to the bathroom during the night. So that's the one thing that I didn't think that was a problem until I read these articles, because I don't have trouble falling back asleep. Like, I get up, I go to the bathroom. I don't look at the clock because I don't want to know how close it is to the time I'm supposed to wake up. So because if I did that, then my brain would be churning and I would have trouble falling back asleep. So I don't look at the clock when I get up. I don't turn on the light in the bathroom when I get up. I know it by heart. I know where to go and how to wash my, like, I know it all. So I don't have trouble falling back asleep. But knowing that my REM cycle is probably interrupted does have me worried. So I do want to try and figure out how to reduce the number of times that I'm getting up during the night. I spent a lot of time talking about that, but that's my problem. So what are the things in the article that they talked about where there are 4 sleep habits that help you, what they call it, sleep hygiene, I think is what they called it. And I am going to tell you what these 4 things are, even though it's from the program, because these are things I've read before. So these are things that are out there that if you Googled, how do I help myself fall asleep or stay asleep, these are things that you would find. So this isn't proprietary information. So the first thing that they talked about was minimizing blue light. So at least 30 minutes before it's time for you to go to bed. So that means turning off your phone, turning off your TV, not looking at the computer. So if you're not ready to lay down, and they don't want you to lay down and toss and turn, they want you to turn like all that blue light activity off at least 30 minutes, if not 45, before it's time for you to go to bed. And they recommend that, you can meditate, you can listen to music, you can read a book. If you want to read on an electronic device, they tell you to, I think there are electronic devices that have like blue light protectors. They also recommend that you get glasses that have blue light protection on them. So there are ways around that. So that is their number 1 recommendation. Number 2 is to clean up the clutter and anything that's distracting in your bedroom, because a lot of people will think about all of that clutter and it just, the distraction, again, it keeps your mind working. The third thing is to avoid caffeine and alcohol at least 2 to 4 hours before going to bed. Neither one of those is going to be a surprise. And they did go into a little bit more detail on alcohol, because a lot of people, alcohol does make a lot of us sleepy and help us fall asleep, but it is an inhibitor to getting a good night's sleep. And then the last thing is they tell you not to toss and turn. If you are having trouble falling asleep, don't lay there and toss and turn. You should get up, go and, if you have the bedroom to yourself, then you can, turn on the light and maybe read for a little while and help you relax a little bit. Maybe I'm not sure what other kind of, this isn't a problem for me, so I didn't really pay attention that much to that part, but find ways that help you calm your mind, maybe meditate for a little bit, listen to some relaxing music, or even if you have the Calm app or something like that, listen to some kind of white noise, maybe that'll help calm your mind. And those are the recommendations that they have for having healthy sleep hygiene. Okay, so what my coach gave to me as goals for the next 2 weeks are 1, to try and finish my water by 6 p.m., as I discussed already. Number 2 is I'm turning off my phone, my TV, my computer, everything by 9:15, so that I have 45 minutes of rest time. I'm going to either meditate or I'm going to read a book, something like that. And I'm going to be in bed by 10 so that I can get a full 8 hours of sleep, because I get up at 6 a.m. every morning. And then my main goal for the next 2 weeks is to track my energy levels, and that's part of the app. So anything that I have to track is in the app. And so my weight tracking is there, and that actually is automatic because the scale that they sent me is connected to the app. So as soon as I get on the scale, it uploads my weight to the app. I have to track my red foods. I'm tracking my energy levels, and I'm weighing myself. So all of that tracking goes into the app. Yeah, so those are my goals for the week. I would love to hear about any successes that you want to share. Remember that and if you're following along with me, then I hope you're doing the same thing. I am focusing on the wins. I'm celebrating my wins. I'm not focusing as much on the things that I didn't do perfectly, because the more that I celebrate my wins, the more encouraged I am to keep doing things that give me some wins. So yeah, if you are following along because you're also on a health weight loss journey, then let's get healthy together. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye.